Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is January 7th, 2026, and we are going to read from Genesis chapter 7 and Matthew chapter 7. All right, so what's happening in Genesis? Well, the flood is happening. We've seen the reason behind the flood, that God has decided essentially to hit the restart button on creation because sin has corrupted everything. And he's picked one person, Noah, to be the carryover, to be where he's going to start with his family, and he's had him build this ark to demonstrate his faithfulness to God, and he's brought in a pair of all of the animals to perpetuate the species that God has created. Clean animals he brings in 7. Why? Well, because he can't eat the unclean animals, can't sacrifice the unclean animals, so there's why we get some extra animals with the clean animals. He comes into the ark, the flood happens, and that's basically where this ends, with waiting for God to decide that the flood is over. So let's go ahead, we're going to read Genesis 7. Then the Lord said to Noah, "Come into the ark, you and all your household, because I have seen that you are righteous before me in this generation. You shall take with you 7 each of every clean animal, a male and his female. 2 each of animals that are unclean, a male and his female. Also 7 each of birds of the air, male and female, to keep the species alive on the face of all the earth. For after 7 more days I will cause it to rain on the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and I will destroy from the face of the earth all living things that I have made." And Noah did according to all that the Lord commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters were on the earth. So Noah with his sons, his wife, and his sons' wives went into the ark because of the waters of the flood. Of clean animals, of animals that are unclean, of birds, and of everything that creeps on the earth, 2 by 2 they went into the ark to Noah, male and female, as God had commanded Noah. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were on the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, on that day all the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the window of heaven were opened, and the rain was on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. On the very same day Noah and Noah's sons Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons with them, entered the ark. They had every beast after its kind, all cattle after their kind, every creeping thing that creeps on the earth after its kind, and every bird after its kind, every bird of every sort. And they went into the ark to Noah, 2 by 2 of all flesh, in which it is the breath of life. So those that entered, male and female of all flesh, went in as God had commanded him, and the Lord shut him in. Now the flood was on the earth 40 days. The waters increased and lifted up the ark, and it rose high above the earth. The waters prevailed and greatly increased on the earth, and the ark moved about on the surface of the waters. And the waters prevailed exceedingly on the earth, and all the high hills under the whole heaven were covered. The waters prevailed 15 cubits upward, and the mountains were covered. And all flesh died that moved on the earth, birds and cattle and beasts, and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, and every man. All in whose nostrils was the breath of the Spirit of life, all that was on the dry land died. So he destroyed all living things which are on the face of the ground, both man and cattle, creeping thing and bird of the air. They were destroyed from the earth. Only Noah and those who were with him in the ark remained alive. And the waters prevailed on the earth 150 days. Now let's move over to Matthew chapter 7. We're finishing up the Beatitudes, this Sermon on the Mount. Judge not lest you be judged. So he's not telling us necessarily we can't judge, but he's telling us, hey, you know what? If when you think you see a sin in somebody else, that's your signal to examine your own self. Say, well, do I do that? Wow, do I think about it? Okay, you know what? I need to fix myself before I can ever hope to try and help somebody else overcome their sin. Encouraging us to pray with persistence. Keep knocking. Now, not telling us necessarily to pray the same thing over and over and over again and hope that sooner or later God will get tired of us coming, but to be persistent. If I think it's important and I think it's God's will, I should be praying it constantly until I get an answer one way or the other. Talking about the narrow way. The way into heaven is narrow, it's tough, there's going to be some hardships along the way. If it were easy, everybody would be taking it. The easy way is the way that's going to hell that everyone's going. Jesus didn't need to come and die on a cross to tell us, hey, getting to heaven's easy. And he explains to us how we know which path we're on, because we can judge by the fruits that we're producing in people. Or excuse me, the fruits that we are producing, that our lives are changing. We're thinking more about our spirit than our flesh. We're putting God first in everything. We're putting everybody else right under God, and then we're coming in the last saying, hey, you know what, if God's getting what he wants and my neighbors are getting what they want, then I'm getting what I want. I don't need to worry about that. And then he talks about all those people on the wide way and says, you know what, they're going to come and say, hey, we did everything you told us to do in this book. And he's going to say, no, you didn't. I don't know you. That's not what I told you to do. And finishes this with a great summary of what he says, which is build your faith on the rock of your faith, on the rock of grace, on the rock of the word. That's what we're supposed to be doing. If we're just building it on our own, hey, we're sand, we're destined for the fire. Don't trust in ourselves. Well, what about free will? I have free will. My free will is either to do my will, which leads me down the wide path to hell, or I can give up my will and take on Christ's will. That's the narrow path. Let's go ahead. We're going to read Matthew 7. Judge not that you be not judged, for with what judgment you judge, you will be judged, and with the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. And why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but do not consider the plank in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, let me remove the speck from your eye, and look, a plank is in your own eye? Hypocrite, first remove the plank from your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Do not give what is holy to the dogs, nor cast your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet, and turn and tear you in pieces. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives, and he who seeks finds, and to him who knocks it will be opened. Or what man is there among you who, if his son asks for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will he give him a serpent? If you then, being evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give good things to those who ask him? Therefore, whatever you want men to do to you, do also to them. For this is the law and the prophets. Enter by the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leads to destruction, and there are many who go in by it, because narrow is the gate and difficult is the way which leads to life, and there are few who find it. Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravenous wolves. You will know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes from thorn bushes, or figs from thistles? Even so, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Therefore by their fruits you shall know them. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. Therefore, whoever hears these things of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock. But everyone who hears these sayings of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it fell, and great was its fall. And so it was, when Jesus had ended these sayings, that the people were astonished at his teaching, for he taught them as one having authority, and not as the scribes. May God bless reading of his word, and may God bless you. Bye.